Hi, my name is Will and welcome to the Distorted Transmission for today. I'm talking to Wellington band Glassblower. How are you guys?
Very good.
I'm pretty good.
There's a cat in the background of Ian there.
Oh, good.
Hi, cat.
Hey, Chip. That's Chip.
30 seconds in, he's going to talk about cats for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm fostering a couple of kittens.
Let's start off with our intros, who you are and what you play. Shall we start with Reese, I guess?
Yep, I'm Reese. I play guitar.
I'm Ian. I play drums. I think I joined in July or August last year.
Yeah, I'm Craig. I do vocals and on the new stuff, some harsh electronics, and I'm a level 160 strength build on Elden Ring. So we started off strong.
It didn't take you very long at all to get Elden Ring into the conversation, did it?
This is an Elden Ring podcast now. I'm so sorry.
Brief history of the band, not of Elden Ring. Facebook page says that you started on the 6th of June, 2019. Well, it's the Facebook page. I did some mathematics with that because the 2, the 0, the 1, and the 9, if you add those together, it makes it 12. So it was the 6th of the 6th, 66.
We were aiming to do that same gag with 9/11, so we fucked up a little bit. We're just realizing that failed us. We would have formed not long before that. I guess the original sort of genesis of it was I wrote a song which is on the album called Younger Than Old Money. I sent it to our good friend and old drummer, Mark, Marvo, as we love to call him, Mark Fever. And I don't know, we were both just hardcore boys and we're like, let's do some fucking hardcore. Actually posted up on Facebook just saying, hey, do you guys remember when Converge was really cool? Does anyone want to play this shit? Reese replied, and he was someone I've known for I don't even know how long. And, not to blow smoke too hard, easily top 3 sort of riff machines in the country, so it just made sense. Brought him in, and yeah, just immediately it was just we worked so fucking well together. Genuine collective, if that makes sense. It's not necessarily like, oh, here's my vision for the song, this is what we're doing, blah. It was sort of, we'd have a riff, occasionally it's my riff, 99.999% it's Reese's riff, and then we just work as a group. Even me as a singer, not playing an instrument at all, I just sort of sit in the corner, hey, try this, collective.
When you're actually writing, you're writing in the same room, you're all sort of like trying out riffs and ideas?
Yeah, Craig's right on the feedback kind of thing. It's like, okay, we'll be sort of grinding out, just worrying about like, oh, we're playing this riff right, how many times are we playing it? And then he'll sort of add like an extra creative thing on it, which really helps with sort of keeping it on track as well, which is good. You're just like, oh yeah, we are actually doing a song with a vocalist, we don't have to play this riff for 15 minutes.
Reese will play something that grooves really hard with Ian. I'm like, dudes, that's the hook. That's what's going to be a really cool vocal hook. That needs to be the sort of epicenter of the song. And then we kind of build out around this hook.
Yeah, I think it's good to bounce riffs off somebody else and get a second opinion on them rather than just throwing them straight into a song.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely end up with a more well-rounded result, I think. All right, cool. Next question. You're a 3-piece band lacking a bassist, although you guys showed a bit of aversion to the word lacking.
Yeah. If you could, after saying that word lacking, if you could just rewind and delete the podcast, thank you so much. That would be...
We're also lacking a turntablist. I don't know if you want to mention that.
Exotic dancer, sure. Okay, so you're a 3-piece band who exists without the need for a bassist. How's that? Do you find that your band delivers enough fullness live, and how have you approached that situation?
I've just been running like an octave pedal kind of setup.
Okay.
So live, it is coming out, it's going to a bass amp, it's not distorted, it's just a clean, heavy bass sound. It gets like a little muddy on some of the bigger power chords and stuff, but like not to the point where you really notice it as a negative live. The guitar sound is usually louder. It's just there to fill it out. Playing at Valhalla, we've got James Woods on sound usually. That dude, he makes us sound huge live. Like he comes up and actually does the bass amp settings for what he wants out front.
Right.
I'm not a bass tone specialist. I just need to fill out the guitar tone.
100% my favorite sound guy in the country right now.
Yeah, that dude rules.
to us, it's not necessarily about full spectrum audio. We kind of make up for that anyway with intensity. It's all about, it's a grindcore band, right? Like we want to be as, sounds cliche as fuck, but like we want to be as sort of ferocious and intense and fast as possible, that, it's not necessarily like a doom show you're sitting there bathing. It's kind of all about just kicking someone in the fucking head as hard as you can.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, there is that sort of bottom end frequency that kind of connects the drums to the guitar. And if it's lacking, things do sound kind of disjointed and separate. And it isn't really one sort of unified assault, if you will. So, okay.
On the album, on Younger Than Old Money, there is actually bass guitar like recorded for the whole thing. I think Craig did like 2 songs. Marvo might have done one.
Marvo did a couple, yeah.
And I did the rest of them.
Collective.
So, yeah, exactly. So on the album, what you're hearing is actually kind of the full one, but live it's just octave pedal kind of stuff, and we'll probably keep going with that path.
The room that we rehearse in at the moment, there would be no option of introducing a bass player into the situation. We can barely fit the 3 of us in there.
All right, cool. Well, speaking of the album that Reese just mentioned, your album Younger Than Old Money dropped in April last year, and you had plans to tour the album. However, drummer Mark left to move to Australia. He was eventually replaced by Ian from Dark Divinity and Into Orbit fame, who we can see here on the screen. Ironically, Ian also recorded the album itself. But yeah, you did a December show at Valhalla and, of course, Tombstone in March this year. Are there any plans for more shows in the pipeline?
We had a New Zealand tour booked that was obviously fucked because of COVID, if you've heard of it.
I've actually caught it myself. It was great.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
Yeah, front row seat.
But so we will rebook that. That'll be the Auckland, Tauranga, Wellington, Christchurch experience.
Sweet.
There's a Wellington show coming up that hasn't quite been announced yet, which is reasonably big. So we'll give more information on that as soon as we can.
Ian, how's it going in the band? You've been there a while now. Are the boys treating you nicely?
No, they're bloody awful.
Who's this goon? Who let this guy in the meeting?
No, it's been great. It's been fucking hard work. Probably the most challenging experience on drums. Learning all the material, the pre-existing material. Probably the biggest musical challenge that I've given myself, or that these guys have given me, the past few years at least, kind of thing. It's Dark Divinity is nowhere near as kind of technical. Into Orbit obviously is just mostly slow and low key. So this has just been an absolute kind of it's just been intense, difficult, and challenging, but good, rewarding.
When Marvo, he hates me calling him Marvo in public, but when Mark left, we wanted someone that Reese and I knew, trusted, and that would come in and respect the parts that Mark did, and but add his own flair. And Ian's a fucking weapon if you've seen any of his other bands. And not to tip the hand too soon, but the new material we've been working on is honestly the best stuff we've done so far. It's and it still has that. If Marvo's drumming brought someone in, it still pays homage to that. Mark. Are you kidding me? Did you just do that to me? Yes. he's gonna watch this and give me shit as well.
This is a New Zealand show that is sort of transmission and barely anybody watches it, so his secret's safe. Yeah, it's fine.
But it's been sick, man. Like Ian has a really different style of writing to what we're used to, and it's really cool for us to adapt to his needs as well, because the output's been so fucking strong. I know every band comes on these sorts of things with, new material's our best yet, but fuck, bro, it is. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Not you.
Craig and I have sort of both got into our way of writing, and that we're done with Mark, and then bringing in, and I've played in Dark Divinity with Ian. We've done a whole bunch of stuff, like the Outland session songs have been like pretty hard out material, probably closer to Glassblower than the Dark Divinity stuff was.
You guys were talking about writing in the room as being your kind of preferred writing style, and I definitely come from a different perspective where I like to. Well, I can't remember fucking anything I do in the room, so I basically, like, if I'm not recording a demo of it kind of by myself, then it's just kind of like lost in the ether. So what I've really enjoyed is the few riffs that Reese has kind of sent my way. We'll just do a demo recording of them. I'll take them away and kind of start playing around with some drum ideas and record some demos, send it back to them, and kind of bounce it that way a few times before getting it into the room. That's the way that I like learning best, because I mean, if all three of us are in the room and I do something and one of you guys is like, oh, that was fucking cool, do that again, I'll be like, do what again? I literally don't remember what I did.
The next question is grindcore. Grindcore is usually politically based. What views do you convey in your music?
Where do we begin?
Communism.
We've been called a lot of things. We get called communists quite regularly. I had a lovely older gentleman pull me aside at a show once and said, I love your band, but I really wish you'd be less political. And I really laughed in his, I was quite drunk, laughed in his face. I'm like, it's fucking grindcore. Anyone on the internet right now telling your grindcore bands to be less political, do you even fucking enjoy grindcore? Every one of your favorite grindcore bands are political. As for Reese, I'm going to go on a tirade. Bro, Reese, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's in the DNA of grindcore. Fucking Napalm Death. Like
that's one of the reasons why I love Napalm Death so much, is because they're basically politically impotent. They never ever say anything against the establishment, and they're like they're pro-Trump.
Oh shit, yeah, dude. Oh, we're not talking about iced earth, bro. We're talking about Napalm Death. I have kind of moved away from heavy-handed politics. There's a lot more about philosophy now, and the EP that we'll talk about soon, I imagine.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Has kind of turned into like discourse on my frustrations about someone hearing the phrase "younger than old money" and being like, they're communists. And it sort of turned into the ideology of language being dead. You know what I mean? That's what the new EP is about, where it doesn't matter what I say to you. Your personal experience based on a word is going to guide how you feel about that right now. And I just think political discourse, especially it's ironic me saying this because this is going to come out on social media, but especially with all the political discourse going on Facebook, fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man.
Gets poisoned by that kind of that interface of social media, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. You can't properly discuss a lot of this thing in a way that matters.
All right, well, before we get too far off track, let's talk about this new EP that you're itching to tell me all about. So please do.
So it's called Generation Loss. We haven't said that publicly ever. So this is an exclusive.
Oh,
it's only 3 tracks. They were actually tracks that we recorded the drums with Mark before he left.
The day before he left.
I should say quite a bit different, because it's still the same experience. You're still going to get a grindcore experience, but there is harsh electronics on it now. And, one of the tracks is, there's not the only guitars on one of the tracks is a glitched version that I sampled from Reese's guitars. So it's going to be a little bit different. And by a little bit different, I mean fucking heaps different.
I do appreciate bands who sort of interject other genres. Like I remember when Napalm Death, for example, had that saxophone solo, or bands like Igor, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they go nuts with it.
It's a healthy way to expand your sort of musicianship. So good on you.
Like musically, for the sort of more full band songs on the EP, they're the last ones we wrote with Mark that were intended to be album 2 before he left. So sort of where we'd started at with the writing process before he got on his way. And so they're definitely more on the like mathcore kind of influence, like Dillinger Escape Plan kind of stuff. There's like panic chords, if that's the official term for them. That's what I see them called, with fucking minor seconds real high up. There's a lot of that in it, and a lot of that kind of bouncy time signature feel, which was probably where we would have continued to go with Mark in the band. But with Ian now, some of the stuff's got a bit more of like a kind of death metal kind of riffy approach.
I think Generation Loss is pretty much the best love letter to Mark as a drummer you could ever imagine. Literally, he's one of my fucking best friends in the world. I love him to death. And I love the idea of that representing his sort of, last days with us. And moving on from that, the stuff we've done with Ian is horrifying. It's sort of gone way more down, twice the tempo, twice the grindcore.
Ian, do you think this is your influence, like the change?
Possibly. I tried to take a lot of influence from, where Mark left off, and I definitely have learned a lot from learning his style and like intended to carry on in that direction as much as possible. Retain the sound that he brought to the band. But I guess I can't help what I like to play, and
Sure.
probably a hell of a lot more double kicks and a lot more blast beats and less kind of D beat. But I'm still trying to put keep those old elements in, where I can kind of put them in comfortably. But can't help but put my influence on it.
We wrote the first 2 songs for the new record, not the EP, and I remember saying to Reese on the drive home from band practice, my favorite band is Converge, obviously. And Reese is a massive Pig Destroyer fan, and I was like, and me too, obviously, but like, I remember talking to him being like, that shit is this perfect middle ground between Converge and Pig Destroyer. And Ian sort of brought that to us, and it didn't exist prior. And they're like 2 of our favorite fucking bands of all time. And, I do sort of credit Ian with bringing that level of intensity to it.
All right, well, that's just about all the time we have for this interview. I think it's going to be quite a long one by the time I finish the edit. So the last thing, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I try to close sets with like a poignant, to me, philosophical kind of rambling about, trying to feel better about yourself. And I think it's really important to me that we sort of project that we don't want to just be another bunch of toxic fucking metal boys out there telling you to kill yourself or whatever. Like, I've been literally called a wet blanket for saying this shit, and I don't give a fuck. Like, I want to make sure that a Glassblower show is a really safe environment for the people we care about, the people who relate to our messages, our LGBTQI plus community. We value that community who have related to our message. And
what about dwarves? Are dwarves okay?
Yeah, of course, they're beautiful.
Cool.
Just any person who's ever related to our message, I just can't fucking thank you enough. And don't worry, we're never gonna, I don't know, being called a wet blanket every show doesn't fucking faze me. We're not going to change this sort of trajectory that we're on.
It's good to have strong opinions and conviction, particularly in a grindcore band. I mean, it's almost expected. So yeah, kudos. All right, is there anything else from Ian or Reese? Even if you want to say, thanks to somebody or.
Thanks to you, Will.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
I was fishing for that exact comment.
Honestly, just thanks to Marvo as well, for setting this trajectory up. And then Mark, fuck. And then I honestly love these 2 boys more than I could ever put into words. Like, I'm really fucking stoked to be playing music with them. Reese, I think you're a fucking monster, and I value all the time in the world I have with you. And Ian, I'm so fucking glad that I get to make music with you now. That's really uncomfortable for them.
Nah, that's fine.
Now say something nice about me.
Okay. I'll email it to you.
Thanks a lot for chatting a lot to me tonight, and but I look forward to hearing the new EP and the next body work that you're going to release after that with Ian.
Really appreciate your time, man. Thanks.
Cool. Cheers.
Cheers, Will.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching.